Hello. A couple of weeks back, I started experiencing some strange problems with Tumblr. I've used the same blog on Tumblr for 14 years, and I started experiencing some problems I'd never experienced with it before. I When I searched even on my own, the search form on my own blog for things that I commonly include in my posts, nothing would show up. I'll show you what it looked like. If I searched for something that I always posted about, it still said no results found. I also noticed that if I clicked on Ask Me, it would report some generic error message instead of showing the Ask Me panel here. I also found that if I tried replying to somebody who had replied to a post of mine, if I tried to reply to their reply, it gave me some weird generic error message. I noticed that on Tumblr's main user page, if I tried to open my messages panel there, it just came up blank. It never showed any of the messages that I know that I have there. So I couldn't message anybody, and my stuff was not showing up in search for anybody else. Now I tried to search for what this problem could have been. Google took me to Tumblr's appearing in search results page, which just sort of gave obvious things to do to try to get your post to show up in tags and so forth. So that wasn't really helpful. But at the bottom, they have this thing that said, "Am I shadowbanned?" And it says, "Tumblr does not shadow ban users, but if you feel like your ability to use Tumblr has been somehow limited, please contact support." Now, that's a strange thing. Somehow limited. I mean, what? Okay. Still can't find your own post in search or tag results? Fill out this form and we'll take a look. So I was like, okay. Then they've got a link to their standard support form, but I tried this link they put there about not showing up in search results, and it looks a little different than their standard support form, but I just filled it out and sent that in. That was like on a Monday of this week when I first noticed this problem. So I started looking into this more. There was a sort of semi-official Tumblr presence on Reddit. There's an official Tumblr support presence on Twitter. But the Reddit one appears to no longer be active, and the Twitter one just seems to be telling everybody, sorry, I can't help you with that. You'll have to go to the standard, Tumblr support page and report your problem there. So I don't know why they bother having a Twitter support account anymore, since that's all they seem to tell everybody, but I don't know. So I was getting nowhere. I started finding reports by a lot of people, a surprising number of people, like on Reddit, like multiple people a day, saying that they had been what they described as shadow banned, even though Tumblr says they don't shadow ban users. But, they're basically describing the same symptoms I was having. They can't message other Tumblr users, and their posts aren't showing up in search. So they've basically, that sounds like a shadow ban, right? I was getting worried because people were saying they had this problem for like months and never got any reply from support. I did send a second ticket through Tumblr's normal support site, thinking maybe that form they linked here was not working correctly or something, even though I did get an auto reply from it. But I never got a reply from a human, and days had gone by. And I before this, I've been using Tumblr for 14 years, and I never had to wait more than a day for a reply from Tumblr support from an actual human. So this was worrying, and especially since people were saying that they had this shadow ban situation for like 6 months and still no reply. So I filed another ticket under "my post isn't appearing in the tags," which it wasn't, and I described that particular problem, and I filled that out and sent it, got the auto reply that basically just says to wait until support gets to your problem and comes back to you. And more days went by, still no reply to either of my tickets. It kind of just looked like my Tumblr was hosed. I started a new blog, a side blog on this same account, and that blog had no problems with anything, with messaging. Its things showed up in search, its posts showed up in search, but that still wasn't my main, blog that I'd been using for 14 years, and it had the name I wanted and everything. So this was distressing. I kept Googling around, and I finally found a post by another Tumblr user on Tumblr, and they described having this exact same problem, and they said they had gotten it fixed. And I'd never seen this described by anybody else in all my Googling and looking on Reddit and Twitter and wherever. They said that they had sent tickets, support tickets, that had never gotten a reply. But they finally sent one under the category social features. And in parentheses, it's social features, parentheses, likes, messaging, follow, asks, or submissions. And they said that, they got a reply pretty much straight away after they filled a ticket out as a social features ticket and submitted that, and then presto, their shadow ban, don't call it a shadow ban, was lifted, and their blog was back to normal. So I thought, well, this is the only suggestion of something that actually worked that I've managed to find all week. So I guess I'm going to give this a shot. So I did. So I went to tumblr.com/support. You get this form coming up. I picked social features as the category. I described my problem pertaining to social features that I was having, and I actually screenshotted that, what I sent them. What I sent them was in this field below. The more details, the better, it says. I wrote, since Monday, I've had these problems on my main blog, smbhax.tumblr.com. Point 1, when it likes or reblogs a post, it doesn't show up in that post's notes. Point 2, the messages panel is blank. Point 3, when I click the Ask Me link on my blog URL, it reports an error message. Point 4, when I try to reply to a reply on one of my posts, I get an error message. And then I summed up saying, so basically I can't seem to do any messaging from my main 14-year-old Tumblr blog now. And I inserted a stupid little smiley. And that was it. And I've, picked the relevant blog, email address, so forth, submitted the ticket. And I thought, well, at least I gave it a shot. And lo and behold, less than a day later, 21 hours later, I got a reply. And you can tell that it wasn't from those other two tickets that I had been waiting for a reply on all week, because when you get an email reply, they come under different headings depending on the category you picked, I guess. So this was a new category that I got a reply from, and this was Tumblr Trust and Safety. And this was 21 hours after I submitted that report as a social features problem. The reply said, hello, thank you for contacting us. Your blog was flagged by our anti-spam control. We've fully restored your account and made sure it doesn't happen again. You should now be able to log in just fine with your email address and password. Actually, I never logged out, so I didn't have to do that. We apologize for the inconvenience. Thanks, Tumblr Trust and Safety. And I went and checked, and lo and behold, my blog was fully functional again. Don't call it a shadow ban. Shadow ban was lifted. So that was it. For me, what finally fixed it in under a day was, it was the third ticket I'd submitted, but it was the first one where I had picked category social features. And then I, described the problem, filled out the form as best I could, and sent that. So that's what finally got it fixed for me, and apparently for this other Tumblr user whose post I read about this in the first place. Now, the funny thing is that Tumblr user deleted every post on their blog like 2 days later. So it was pretty lucky that I saw their post before they deleted their blog. They started blogging on another blog they have multiple blogs anyway, so I don't know why they did that, but it didn't seem related to the shadow ban post they'd made. But yeah, it's been over a week now. I'm no problems, still unshadow banned. So it definitely did the trick. Hopefully it's kind of scary that they have a anti-spam control out there that can just apparently find some post of yours and I guess run some algorithm on it that determines that you're a spam bot for one post you made or something, and basically cripples your Tumblr account and doesn't tell you. I never got a message from Tumblr saying I'd done anything wrong, or saying that any hold had been put on features for my account or anything. Nothing. They never told me that this had happened to me. They never told me I'd been flagged until I reported it and they fixed the problem. So I hope they can make it so that doesn't happen to people, because apparently it is happening to a lot of people. Like I made a post on my blog this morning and it got its first like, and I went to go look at who had liked it. I don't know why. I was just sort of idly clicking and no name showed up. And that was a symptom of my shadow ban. When I liked a post, it didn't show my name under that post's notes. So I think that was a shadow banned user who had been my first like on that post. So I think a lot of people, I don't know what percentage of Tumblr users may be shadow banned at this very instant, but it might be a lot of them. Yeah, it's not a great situation. Also, that like their Twitter support account does say that there's kind of a backlog, and so you have to be patient and wait for them to get to you. Well, that's a bad situation for support. I mean, again, like I said, I've had this account for 14 years, and it's never taken more than a day for a human being to get back to me from Tumblr support. Before this, it had never taken over a day in 14 years. So, that's worrying. It's not a great situation. You shouldn't have to find this mysterious key that unlocks getting an actual reply from an actual human about a horrible problem that's affecting your account with them that they never told you they had inflicted themselves on your account, and which they deny ever doing at all. We don't shadow ban users, they say. Well, maybe they don't. Maybe no human does, but they've apparently got an anti-spam control something or other that sure does. So that sucks. So if you are having these symptoms of their don't call it a shadow ban, you could maybe think about giving that a shot if you've exhausted all your other support solutions and they still haven't got back to you. And I hope this can help some people. I don't know. It seems to be what worked for me, and I sure hope that this shadow ban situation can just be resolved for everybody and never happen again, because it sucks. But apparently it's kind of been going on for a year or two now to people, and it doesn't sound like their backlog of actually getting back to people in a regular way is getting any shorter. So yeah, I don't know. They've got a real problem here, but hopefully you can get a response from the trust and safety people by selecting the social features category in their support form. So good luck, and thanks for watching.